Good afternoon, everyone. Today, welcome to the House Ways and Means Committee, the Education Subcommittee of the House Ways and Means Committee. Today is April 8th, 2022. We're going to get started. We have a lot of work in front of us today. We're going to start on Senate Bill 55, which is a Baltimore County Board of Education bill. This is a local bill. Alistair, let's be clear this time. Do we have a letter of support for this bill?
We do have a letter, sir. It was voted not unanimously, but on a vote of 16-4.
And this bill just puts everyone else, well, this is a different bill. Tell us what this bill does, Alistair.
This bill makes Baltimore County, like every other county, in their ability to hire a county attorney to represent the County Board of Education.
Looks like there's also a clarifying amendment too, that about the payments on this bill. Is that not it? Page
yes,
two, lines 8 through 9. We're looking at the same one.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
They made the amendments that the Senate sent over on their own bill. And I think that was the bill they sent to us. Am I wrong?
Yeah, it says on page 2, lines 8 through 9, payments made under paragraph of this section are valid. It looks like it's clarifying. It doesn't look like it's anything.
The letter I received from Baltimore, the Ways and Means Committee, you should have all gotten this in email received, just says favorable. There's no mention of that. Their vote sheet says favorable. There's no mention of an amendment. Delegate Ebersol, did you guys vote for an amendment in delegation?
Not to my recollection, but I have the chair of the delegation in the next office. I'll double check, but I don't think so.
So let's special order this bill to the end of the calendar, and then Delegate Ebersol will get back to us on what this on this bill. And we'll, because I'm seeing that amendment now, and I don't want anyone to be blindsided on that.
Is the sponsor of the amendment the delegation, or is it?
It doesn't say here, Alistair.
Okay.
I'm not sure. But let's special order it for now. We'll get some something from Delegate Ebersol that will help us clarify that. So we do have another bill in front of us. So let's move on to Senate Bill 124. This is Senator Hedelman's bill. This bill will be in the same posture of, I think, House Bill 155. Is that right?
150, I think. But okay, there is an amendment for this one.
Cool. Let's talk about the amendment.
So the amendment would, similar to part of our amendment for the House bill, would reduce the funding that the governor must appropriate and instead let the schools collaborate with MSDE to seek federal funding. And otherwise, it is in the same posture. With that amendment adopted, it will be in the same posture as the House bill that you guys passed yesterday.
Got it.
Favorable on the amendment.
Second.
So we're probably moved and seconded. All those in favor of the amendment, say aye. All those opposed? Okay, on the bill as amended.
Move favorable.
Second. All those in favor of the amendment, on the bill as amended, say aye. All opposed? Perfect. Senate Bill 124 as amended passes. Let's move on to Senate Bill 157. This is the Baltimore City local bill on the commissioners and task force. Alistair, is there anything different from this bill that came in that makes it different from the bill that we passed out? That's Delegate Attar's bill.
No, this was Delegate Wells' bill, sir.
Wells, I'm sorry, my bad. Delegate Wells' bill.
This bill's in the exact same posture as the version that the House passed with amendments.
Awesome. Okay.
Move favorable.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Raise your hand. All those opposed. Cool. Senate Bill 157 passes. Okay, let's move on to Senate Bill 325. This is, unfortunately, she's not here, but the cross-file of Delegate Dana Jones's bill. Alistair, you want to tell us what this bill does? Just clarifying.
Yes, absolutely. So this bill, again, in the same posture as Delegate Jones's bill is amended, it changes some definitions about student data collection to update the way those definitions hold in the current context, and also reconstitutes the Student Data Privacy Council and gives them the authority to study issues and report back to the General Assembly. I'm sorry, you're muted, sir.
No amendments, right?
No amendments.
Perfect. Okay. On the bill, do I hear a motion on the bill? Can I have a motion on the bill?
Move favorable.
Probably moved and
Second.
seconded. All those in favor of the bill, say aye. Raise your hand. All those opposed. Senate Bill 325 passes. Senate Bill, let's go to Senate Bill 362. Let's take this up now. I know we had some discussions on it recently. This is the bill that is it encompasses House Bill 1163, also Senate Bill, is it 277, Alistair?
It's 717, sir.
717, thank you. 717 and this bill, and it also, and we have amendments. So Alistair, can you walk us through this bill?
Yes, absolutely. So as we discussed yesterday, this bill would take hopefully the best elements of all three bills and combine them into one bill to which is also what the ESU Committee did this morning with House Bill 1163. So it retains from 1163 the requirement that that the state adopt a universal learning management system, that the date by which they have to do that is delayed a year, but counties may adopt the universal learning management system, but they are incentivized to do so. And the universal learning management system will be used to share curricular standards under the Blueprint for Maryland's Future Law beginning in 2024, 2025. There's some additional changes to Senate Bill 362, as we discussed yesterday. The State Department of Education is no longer authorized to establish virtual schools. They do, however, have a role in reviewing the proposed virtual schools and the final decisions on that, and they also have a role in recommending the revocation of the approval to have virtual school, but final decisions on that are made by the State Board of Education. There are some additional things that are different from the Senate bill as introduced. People have to engage in, under the Senate bill, you have to give parents a list of supports that they will have in virtual schooling. But under this bill, there's a requirement that if possible, the virtual school must have an in-person orientation session with students, parents, and guardians to discuss those items, or if impossible, they will have a virtual orientation. Otherwise, I think that portion, the portion relating to the establishment of virtual schools. Oh, I'm sorry. There's also the authorization for counties together to establish virtual schools, which was not in the Senate bill as originally introduced. And there is a prohibition for 2 years until the State Department of Education completes a study into virtual schools and the best practices in the country before counties can establish new elementary schools as virtual schools. Additionally, we retain the piece from House Bill 1163 on the what we used to call temporary virtual schools, but what is now called operation of public schools during a prolonged state of emergency, which largely retains the provisions there. There still needs to be behavioral health plans, staffing plans, check-in plans, and similar items. Finally, we also retain from the House Bill on House Bill 1163, a requirement that community schools must address and mitigate the effects of learning loss for virtual schools. In addition to the study that was in House Bill 1163 into virtual schools in general, there's another requirement that the state superintendent of schools studies what the correct balance for synchronous and asynchronous learning is, so that going forward, that can be done in all virtual education. And otherwise, it is in the same posture as the Senate bill as discussed yesterday.
All right, questions, Delegate Hartman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I hope I don't get a reputation and my question came before Eversole's. That's unusual. But anyway, thank you again. So to make sure I understand correctly, Alistair, you did add another year to this, so through the 24-25 year.
For the Eastern Shore
Correct.
school, no, it's still in the same year posture as it was before. It's still the 2023-2024 school year.
So when you said you added a year, what did you add a year to?
I'm sorry, I was talking about the Universal Learning Management System and the date by which that has to be adopted.
And here I was so excited,
I'm sorry, sir.
So
Sorry.
again, I need to stress the issue we have on the Eastern Shore because our counties are so small. I mean, it's we really do need help in transitioning from this, and another year would be very beneficial. The MSD has the ability to revoke the program if it's not performing well.
Let me know if you-
Excuse me.
I think that's
With that guardrail in there, I would really ask for this group to, consider and accept the amendment for an additional year.
Yeah, Delegate Hartman, as you asked me yesterday, man, I tried to, encourage the Senate to accept this amendment on our behalf, so that the deal is that we're not trying to we don't want to go to conference committee for one of these bills. And so accepting one of the amendments will make us go to conference committee. And so we try to talk to the senator and his team to try to extend it another year. Unfortunately, that was not, they thought that 3 years was enough time to have everyone come into compliance with the law. And so it's any school that exists currently, any virtual school that exists currently will have to come into compliance.
Well, I would agree with 3 years, and that's why I'm asking. Right now, it's 2. That's why I was asking for the third.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. I think we'll just have to resist the amendment at this moment.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Delegate Eversole.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I tried to listen carefully. I understood yesterday that we were going to blend Senate Bill 717 into this bill a bit. And I imagine we did. I was trying to listen for where that happened. I had suggested some language that would protect hourly workers who wouldn't work on those days. So if a snow day ran past the ones that they had left, and then they made it be a count as a virtual day, then there would only be 178 or 179 school days during the year. And people like bus drivers and cafeteria workers and even custodians who are on hourly would not be working and not be paid. And so the amendment was to make them whole somehow by offering them other work to do either then or later, to help them, if they chose to be made whole, so that they could have work for those days that they eventually. Were we able to include that at all or not?
Thank you, Delegate Eversole. I think that we were not able to include specific language on that piece. I think we said that we will bring this up today, and also another issue that Delegate Jones brought up as well. And I think it was also, I think you brought it up too. So I don't know if we don't have many advocates on the call with us today. I'm not sure if MSEA knows that issue, knows that if that is the case or that could happen, where if there's a school day and if there's a snow day and the school system decides to make it virtual, whether or not these employees and staffers that work hourly, will they still be able to get paid during that time or be able to make up that time, right? I'm not sure if Lauren, if you know the answer to that, or maybe if anyone here knows the answer to that.
Sure.
Allison, go ahead, Lauren.
Just to make sure I understand the question, is it that as it stands, a virtual education day would not have an education support professional being paid? Is that right?
Yeah, so the question is whether or not if there's a snow day and it's a snow day, but it's a virtual, but they use it they have a virtual education snow day essentially under the amended version of this bill. Will those hourly workers be able to make up their time so that they can, will they be able to make up their time without an amendment clarifying that?
This amendment would clarify that, and I think that would be beneficial so that there's no ambiguity there.
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
What is the current practice, Ms. Lamb, during snow days for those workers right now?
I don't know that off the top of my head. I would imagine that it varies by county. But the reason that we would support this protection is just to make that across the board.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yeah, Delegate Ebersol. Yeah.
So the key there is that we make those days up at the end of the year or at another time. And so those people who would normally, yes, we always have 180 school days. Okay. We have 180 school days unless there is an emergency waiver by the State Department of Education. But generally, the goal is to have 180 working school days in the year. And so this bill would allow us to have 180 working school days, but some of them would not be in person. And so those people who rely on the in-person part of school to be there would not be working those days and would potentially not be paid. And so normally we try to bring ourselves to 180 school days unless there's a hurricane or something like that. And I understand that happens, but these people then would not be working 180 days. They'd work 178 with us having filled 2 of them virtually instead of in June or during spring break or something like that when they would have worked.
So if I may, sir, the current practice is that school districts build in days that can be snow days. There are 180 days, but there are some built-in snow days in each county typically.
Yeah, but that's not what's an issue.
And then at the end of the year, sometimes there's waivers of days if you go beyond that number of snow days. And
there are waivers, but it requires it to be a state of emergency. And the governor has to have declared that, and then you still have to apply to MSDE for waivers of those days. This is going to make it much easier and much more, I think, probably more common for us to have fewer than 180 working days in the building. And I think that these folks are often working on minimal salaries, and so having them lose a day's wages could be pretty detrimental to them. And all this amendment says is that they just need to offer them other work. We don't have to have those days, but they have to offer them other work at another time. Maybe at the end of the year, they could do some sort of clerical work or do something, but to provide them with hours, basically, that are useful. So that's, I believe that's, the thrust of it. Sorry.
Yeah, I think I hear you, Delegate Ebersol, and I totally understand where you're coming from. I think it's already being done and something that we don't need to clarifying this in here. But I appreciate you bringing it up and letting us all hear that. And I think it's already being done for these folks. But thank you. Any other questions on the bill or the amendments? Thank you, Delegate Ebersol. Okay, do I hear a motion on the bill, on the amendments on this bill?
Move favorable.
Second. See you tomorrow. Yep.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor of the amendment say aye or raise your hand. All opposed? Delegates Rose, Hornberger, and Hartman are opposed to the amendments. On the bill as amended, do I hear a motion on the bill as amended?
Move favorable.
Thank you.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor of the bill as amended say aye or raise your hand. All those opposed. Delegate Rose, Hornberger, and Hartman are opposed. Senate Bill 362 passes. Thank you, everybody. Let's move on to Senate Bill 379. This is somewhat of a local bill. It's a local Caroline County, Charles County, and Prince George's County Boards of Education bill. Alistair, you want to tell us what this bill does?
Yes, thank you, sir. So for all other counties but those 3, for the members of the County Board of Education, the State Board of Education may remove the members for immorality, misconduct in office, incompetency, or willful neglect of duty, basically general for cause employment language. In those 3 counties right now, the State Board must seek the approval of the governor. So this bill would place all three of those counties in the same position as every other county board of education. There are no amendments for this one.
There's no amendments on the
Mr.
bill.
Chair.
Yes. Delegate Ivey.
Yeah, do we have support letters from these various jurisdictions?
Yeah, I just got a support letter from Prince George's County delegation. I also received a delegation letter from Charles County. Did we receive a delegation letter from Charles County? Allison, did you get that letter?
I'm sorry, sir. A letter on Senate Bill 379.
Yes, sir.
Sorry about that. I had someone at my door.
Is it Delegate Eversole?
It was not Delegate Eversole.
Okay.
Um,
I was asking if we got a letter on 7.
Yes, we did indeed.
Okay.
Um,
From all 3
Yes.
jurisdictions.
So I'm looking at the Prince George's letter. That's all I see right now.
Yeah, no, there's a Prince George's letter. I talked to the chair of
We have Caroline County also. I don't see a Charles County, but
well, we removed the special orders bill until we receive a letter from Charles County. So Senate Bill 379 will stay on hold until we receive the letter from Charles County. All right, Senate Bill, we'll move on to Senate Bills 383. Alistair, you want to tell us what this bill does?
yes, sir. So this bill would extend
383. Go ahead, sorry.
383. This bill would extend funding for the Maryland Association of Environmental and Outdoor Education for 2 additional years. So right now, the funding for that program ends in fiscal year 2026. This would extend that funding into fiscal year 2027 and 2028. And it additionally, there's specified funding on assisting of transporting students to and from environmentally focused activities. And that funding is also extended for 2 years, as well as becoming a green school funding. There are no amendments for this bill.
Okay, so we're extending this right now when we don't need to, because it doesn't end until 2025. Is that what you said, Elzer?
2026, fiscal year 2026, which is June 30, 2025.
Right. So we have some time before we need to extend this. Is that correct? Got it. Okay. So we're moving this bill for us to extend it early. Any questions on this bill? Any motions on this bill of your choosing?
Move favorable.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed. Perfect. Senate Bill 383 passes. We'll move on to Senate Bill 952. It's a local Frederick County delegation bill. Alicia, do we have a letter for this bill?
I believe we do, sir.
Can you confirm that for us, please?
Yes.
And it's a local.
Yes, we do have a letter of support from Frederick County.
And we've seen iterations of this bill multiple years in a row, where they've made multiple changes to this local bill because we decided as a committee that we didn't want to set a precedent like we do with any local delegation bill. Is that right?
That's right, sir. And we passed the new House version this year.
Got it. Cool. Okay. And so just give the subcommittee a little background. If you don't mind.
Yeah. So on this iteration of this bill.
Yep.
Yes. So
it's the same posture as the House bill, right?
It is. Yes. Exactly.
Okay. Perfect. So any questions on the bill? Seeing none, do I hear a motion on the bill? I don't hear a motion on the bill. All right. So we can
Move.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded on this local bill, Senate Bill 952. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? Cool. Senate Bill 952 passes. Our last bill, well, not last bill, actually. This is the cross-file of Senate Bill 383 that we just passed in the same posture. Do I hear a motion on this bill?
Move favorable.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded on House Bill 531. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of the bill say aye. Or raise your hand. All those opposed. We do have a concurrence in front of you, everyone. We have this Baltimore County Board of Education bill. It's a student member voting rights. I think the Senate added an amendment. Alice, you want to tell us what the amendment does?
Yes, sir. So as you may recall, the bill as it came out of the House required that the student member be allowed to vote on matters pertaining to the budget, but the student member had to take a training. The Senate amendment requires that all members, not just the student member, have to take that training on budgetary matters so that they're prepared to vote. We do not have a delegation letter, but I've spoken to the original bill's sponsor, who is also a member of this subcommittee, and that is Mr. Eversole, Delegate Eversole. And he's told me that the delegation is in support of this.
Okay, is the delegation in support of it, Delegate Eversole? So we have
Yes, and I've spoken to the delegation chair as well, and he said, yeah, that his feeling is we're fine with
I
this.
think you share office with that guy, right?
Yeah, I have other information on the other bill now too, because
All right, cool. On the bill, do I have a motion? There's a motion to concur. There's a motion to concur. Can we move?
Second.
To concur?
second that motion.
Can somebody move to concur?
I move to concur, Mr. Chair.
Got it. Second by Delegate Ivy. All those in favor, say aye.
All right.
All those opposed. Perfect. Let's move back to Senate Bill 55, our very last bill. Delegate Eversole, you want to give us some updates on this?
Yeah, the delegation staff says there was no amendment added. We passed this bill clean as it came over from the Senate. So it might not be perfectly clear in the documentation, but that's what we did.
Move favorable.
Sure. All right. It's been properly moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. All right, perfect. Senate Bill 55 passes. All right, guys, we passed all of our bills today. I'll let you know if we have another. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have another voting session soon, but we're gonna obviously have a voting session right after this. I want to thank you all, and I will see you all right after the voting session. Thank you.